What's up, everyone? It is your girl Beaute 87 here, aka Grace, and it's time for another old school versus new school. So today's old school versus new school is with the Beaute Tropical Vibes palette up against the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. So this is literally the palette I actually have on my eyes right now in this video. I just filmed the video for this yesterday, Friday, and it should be going up Saturday at 7 a.m. But I wanted to at least film the intro to this video. So here's what both the palettes look like side by side. I feel like they look pretty similar. I told you all this in the Do You Really Need video though. So here's what they look like side by side. As y'all can see, my Tropical Vibes palette has been beat to crap. But when I first got it, this shade showed up broken. And then this green shade right here started like cracking for some reason. I don't know what's going on with that, but I feel like they both give pretty similar vibes. The only thing is, I don't understand why either person didn't think to put an orange shimmer in here. Like, maybe I'm missing something, but like, since you have these orange mattes, why wouldn't you give an orange shimmer to go with it? So if somebody wanted to do a monochromatic orange look in addition to the other looks that you've given them with this palette, that they could. Why didn't them or Natasha think of that? The only people that thought about it was Lorraine over at Colored Rain, because she made sure there was one of hers, but everybody else just seemed to, like, you know, miss that whole thing or whatever. But you know, whatever. Anyway, as usual, y'all know I'm gonna talk about the old school palette first, and we're gonna get into the new school palette last, and then we're gonna do the look. So let's start off with my beaten to crap palette that looks dirty and disgusting, because I never cleaned the mirror off or anything. I was just like, you know what, this is what it is. This is real life, okay? But as you can see, it has a lovely color story to it. I guess you can look at it in like maybe quads if you want to. Like, this is a 6-pan deeper tone grungier quad with a fun pop of color for the lid. This is like a grungy, like fun pop of color for the inner corner. And then this is like a 3 simple matte I'm in a rush look, which still gives you a fun pop of color. So I'm liking the fact that you get a pop of color everywhere. But yeah, I really like this palette. This is one of my favorite palettes from Beaute, alongside the Oceanic palette and the Paletopoli. Those are probably my top 3 from top 3. And then if I had to do top 5, I'd add the 2 holiday ones they came out with last year, the Aura and the Cosmo, I believe it was called. Those are definitely some of my favorite palettes. I actually have them here now for, I think it's like a Palettes That Inspire Me video, or something to that extent, or palettes from the past, something like that. So I can do more eye looks with them, because I love them that much. So I definitely love Beaute's new formula. Now keep in mind, because this is the thicker palettes, this is new formula. Thinner palettes for the original formula, which I wish now that, you know, we could have the thinner packaging, but I don't understand her doing the thicker one, so you know the difference between the old versus the new. I don't have too much to say about the color story. It's warm, it's green. We know I love greens, blues, and purple, so we knew I was gonna have this in my arsenal. I love it. I just wish there were more shimmers in it, because just like Natasha's, there's only, well, actually I think Natasha has more shimmers. This only has 3 shimmers and it's matte heavy, so I can understand why Angelica Nikafish likes this brand, because she's more of a matte heavy girl, if you will, as opposed to shimmers. But those are my thoughts on the palette. The formula's amazing. I love the color story. I just wish it had an orange shimmer and it had a few more shimmers. Now onto this one. I just used this one today, so I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on it, but I will say again, my first initial thought was, why do we have all these green shimmers and then this one, like, you know, cool tone shimmer to go with the cool tone mattes? I get that, but it's like, why has no one thought to put an orange shimmer in this palette? Because I don't need 4 green shimmers. I just don't. Especially because I feel like all of them transition the same on the eye. You'll see in that video that you will have seen long before you've seen this one, that all the shimmers look the same. Now, swatch them on my hand, they'll look different, but on the lid, they all look the same. So I don't know if I picked the wrong colors to use for gradient, because y'all know I like to have a, like, you know, turn your head and you get a different shift thing. I don't feel like this did that. So I feel like the colors looked really similar together, which I'm a little disappointed by. It's just one of those palettes you're gonna have to use 1 shimmer at a time. You can't use like 2 or 3, because all the shimmers are too similar in tone to be able to use. So that's my gripe with this palette, along with missing an orange shade to make a monochromatic orange look, because it's like you could even use this yellowish orange shade here as your dust over shade. You could use this as your crease shade. You could brown the outer V and then have like an orange on the lid and then orange in the inner corner, but they didn't give me that option. So this is traditional Natasha Denona standard formula, like the good formula that comes in the midi palettes. This isn't like the Zendo palette that people don't like. This isn't that formula. This is the normal formula, like in the Love palette and the what's that other one, the Sunrise and the Retro, like those formulas. That's what this formula is like. So you don't have to worry about being a formula that you're not gonna like, and you're gonna be mad that you bought it, especially with the price hike she has. I'm hoping it stays like that, because she has made the price hike that we shouldn't have to pay a higher price, and then you still giving the same somewhat subpar quality. So those are my initial thoughts on this palette. I'm gonna go off camera, get my life in order. I'm going to probably use a Tropical Vibes palette on camera just because, you know, I literally just gave y'all a look with this like recently, and the look I did with this one's more recent than the look I did with this one. So y'all know I like to switch it up sometimes and use the older thing on camera. So that's what we're gonna do this time. So let me zoom in real quick and cute. Like, we're gonna use the Ace Beaute palette on camera, and we're gonna use the palettes on my eyes now off camera. But I'll come right back and then we'll figure out the colors. Y'all know I usually swatch. So I'll swatch Natasha first since I did it off camera. Then we'll do Ace Beaute, Natasha, Ace Beaute, Natasha, Ace Beaute, and so on and so forth. So I'll be right back. Okay, girl? Okay. Hey, y'all. So this is the Natasha eye. And here are all the swatches. So, of course, this is Natasha. These two are from the Ace Beaute palette. This shade actually matches Citrine a whole lot better. This is the second. So this shade right here, the cracked one, matches the shade Citrine in the Natasha Denona palette pretty perfectly, as you can see right here. These two, they ended up aligning with swatches perfectly. These are two darker greens. Since I didn't use that much green in this look, as you can see, I wanted you to see that some of the greens are similar. So this is Natasha, Ace Beaute, Natasha, Ace Beaute, Natasha, Ace Beaute. So I try to give y'all some green swatches since I didn't use a lot of green, like I said. But let's get into the look, girl. I need to put the eyeshadow primer on because I did not put it on prior to starting the video like I had planned to, but you know, it's cool. Y'all, I don't understand how excited I am about spring break for my son, because I'm sorry, summer break for my son, because it means way less stress on me and actually being able to sleep. So excited as it is, that's what I'm most excited about, being able to sleep. But you know, I feel like it'll be August again before I know it, and then I'll be like, where did the time go? Because I told y'all in another video, I feel like all the time is just flying by. It's like I'm looking up and then like months has passed and I'm like, what is happening? What is going on? When did this happen? So I'm gonna start off with the shade Khaki, this one right here, to match the shades that we grabbed from Natasha's palette. Because I just combined two shades in Natasha's palette to get a shade that I thought would look similar to this one. Because I find that these oxidize and they get like a whole lot darker in the crease. So I was like, I combined two shades that look similar to it. Maybe when it oxidizes on this side, they'll match. And I feel like they're matching up pretty nicely from what I'm seeing. So this Khaki, though, I feel like it just works perfectly as a crease shade for some of my skin tones. So shout out to Ace Beaute for knowing the tones of the brown girls to make sure that the undertone worked perfectly as a crease shade, because I feel like it just blends with my skin pretty nicely, and it is a little hint of like the orangish, kind of like carrot or sweet potato color, but not to the extent where it like looks crazy. It's like one of the perfect transition shades for some of my skin tones, so I'm here for it and loving it. Thank you. Now we're gonna get into what shade is it? I don't need this brush yet. I'm gonna get into the shade Palawa. This one right here, that's the one that's on the outer V. I still hate that this palette broke up on me because this is one of my favorite palettes from them, and it arrived broken with that shade that's above this shade we're putting on right now. And then the other darker green shade started cracking, so I was just like, look here. Oh crap, y'all, I put it in the wrong spot. Jeez. Makeup remover wipe. Take that off. This is a dark black shade that I forgot to swatch in both the palettes because I'm so used to using like a different shade for the outer V, so I forgot to even show you, say I swatched for that one. I think my mind's just like, you know, always in a rush, and I was thinking about what I have to do next when it comes to just what I have to do with life in general. That sometimes I have to be getting stuff like that was clearly supposed to be a black shade, and I just messed up a whole brush that I didn't need to. So let me swatch these shades side by side real quick for you so you can see. And the other shade looks like it's pretty close to black, but I feel like it's just a really dark brown and looks black. So these are the two that are not out of V. This is Natasha, and this is the one we're gonna put on now. But I realized I put the wrong shade in the wrong spot. I'm just glad. Okay, I just put the black over it. I don't have to wash it, not the brush, because y'all, I got 3 different eye looks to do today. So I don't want to have to, you know. Okay, yeah, it's working out. Like, I got 3 different eye looks to do today, girl. Ooh, Lord, this one is so much more pigmented than Natasha's, honey. I'm just like, ooh, goodness. I did not expect all that. I didn't build in or tap into it that much. Man, it's just out here giving. Okay. Look how much deeper that is than the one on Natasha's side. I feel like I should go in with some of it on Natasha's side to help it out. Because I'm like, Natasha, girl, like, Ace Beaute came through within there. We're not playing. And you was playing because it's definitely giving more depth than hers is. And it's looking blacker, but y'all saw, like, it's just a really deep, like, coffee brown. So that's why it's giving so much more depth. Whereas Natasha's, excuse me, is not. She is not bringing the depth by any means, honey. Natasha said no to the depth. She said no. I'm taking Natasha's brush and dust on in here so it won't as deep right here, because trying to go around that shade is not working. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. Okay. Now let's get into the crease shade, which is the ones that I had put on the outer V initially. I love this color. I love colors like this in palettes. I think they look so stunning. I feel like it would just give an extra pop to the crease because we weren't using a lot of green. But I want to see how the neutral tones in each palette will work out, because I feel like the neutrals in each palette would be an essential purchasing decision if I was purchasing because of my skin tone. And we clearly see that Ace Beaute is giving the pigmentation, because I feel like all the Ace Beaute shadows I'm using are much more pigmented than the Natasha ones. But you can comment down below and tell me if you feel differently. But look at that. I feel like all of them are just getting more pigment than Natasha. And it's not like I'm dipping into them more than I dipped into Natasha. It's like everybody's getting the same amount. It's just Ace Beaute is just out the gate giving more pigmentation than Natasha. And they charging less. So how about that? Like, maybe you need to step up your game, Natasha, girl, because how they out here with less pigmentation, I mean with less prices, giving more pigmentation. Like, Natasha, girl, you got some explaining to do. Why are they giving more pigmentation than you are at, you know, a lesser price? Because like y'all got the same, y'all got a similar color story too. I'm taking the lighter green. Now I will say the green in the Ace Beaute palette runs a little bit deeper than the one in Natasha's palette, but you know, that's not that big a deal when you think about the price point difference, because her palette is $69. I think this one is only like $34, $38.99. So you still be saving like 20 bucks if you use code Cage Makeup with this one and get a discount. So I'm just kind of like, Now I'm not liking the way they're pairing together in here. I feel like Natasha's pair better together, and I feel like Natasha's green shade is like easier to work with and a little bit more opaque. But I mean, like, for 20 more bucks, I would build it up. So for $20 less at least, because I feel like I'm rounding with shipping to make it like, you know, $49. But even so, like, that's still saving me like 20 bucks, and I'm getting more pigmentation. And I can do my eyeliner trick as a pigment underneath here to start with, or just grab one of them About Face liquid mattes to put underneath to give me more pigmentation. But the pigmentation on the green in this palette is definitely giving streaks compared to Natasha's. I have no problem admitting that. But I mean, for the pigmentation it's giving over Natasha's palette, I still think I would pick it over Natasha's, because the pigmentation is giving. Like, you can't deny it. Like, it's very obvious who's giving the pigmentation. Now let's get into the shimmers, because I know Natasha's had like lots of reflective particles, and they had like extra they were I guess it was a duochrome, one of the ones I used in the UOMA palette video for yesterday. So now we'll look at that. Let's go ahead and put shade Rainforest on the lid. That's the one that's closest to the one in Natasha's palette. The only thing is this palette has less shimmers than Natasha's palette, so that's a downside to me. So I think that nobody could pick a green. I feel like this one looks more pigmented than Natasha's too, though, when it comes to like the glitter particles and all that. But she has some shades in her palette that give this kind of same sparkly effect. This is just the one that matched the one that I chose that I didn't use in yesterday's video, and it's not giving as much of a sparkly and shiny effect as those other ones did. But she put a wide variety of different like finishes when it came to her shimmers in her palette, and this was just one of the metallics that isn't giving like the extra spoiled sparkliness that some of the other shades I used in yesterday's video on her actual palette gave. So just keep that in mind too. I'm just doing what I normally do. Y'all know I like to go back in over with the crease and handle that. Then I gotta go back in with the other shade and try to give a little bit more opacity to it, because like I said, I feel like Natasha's gives more opacity and it doesn't look streaky. So I think we're just gonna take both those in the inner corner and call it a day, because there's not shimmers from each palette that will match the inner corner, because the one I could use is more like a dual chromish situation. So we're just gonna put both these bright greens in the inner corner, and I'll put a black pencil on the lower lash line when I get off camera after we get done talking about which one I prefer, and then we'll, you know, call it a day. So go back to Natasha's palette and put her inner corner shade in, and then we should be good. Okay. Yeah, her formula when it comes to this shade is just way easier to work with. I mean, I feel like the Ace Beaute one was a little bit powderier, and so this one seems to be a little more creamier matte, so it makes it easier to work with, which is one of the standout shades. So, you know, I feel like that's important. Where's my brush? Okay, y'all, so this is the finished look. Let's back it on up and talk about my thoughts on these palettes. So, I like each palette for different reasons. Y'all know the drill. Like, I normally have a reason why I like each palette. So, I like the opacity of the Ace Beaute palette a whole lot more than Natasha's. I feel like the opacity of it is lackluster comparing. Y'all saw how different these shades look on the eyes versus Natasha's on the eyes. So, I mean, that can't be denied. The opacity of Ace Beaute is far superior to Natasha's palette. However, when it comes to the fun shades, I just feel like they look patchy when it comes to the Ace Beaute formula as opposed to Natasha's. And I don't like the fact that they don't have as many shimmers as Natasha. Like, Natasha gives you a little more shimmer issues. Now, I'm not happy with either one of them because nobody decided to give you like an orange, so you could do a quick little orange look if you wanted to. Which I love how I'm complaining about orange, and y'all know orange ain't even my favorite color. I guess I just feel like because they're orange mattes in here, there should be a matching orange shimmer. So that's what my whole issue and take on it is. I'm cleaning the mirror and like the palette, y'all. That's why I was looking down while I was talking about it. But yeah, so that's my whole issue with the situation. But if I had to pick one, it's hard for me to pick one. I feel like I'm like at a tied situation because I'm loving the opacity that I'm getting with this eye and all the smoke and all that. But at the same time, I'm loving the fact that this was so much easier to blend, and the fact that Natasha has more shimmer. So I honestly don't know who won this one for once, just because, you know, I feel like I'm at a tie, if you will. But you can comment down below and tell me which one you think looks the best. Remember, this is Natasha and this is Ace Beaute, but I'm feeling like I want to lean more toward Ace Beaute, even though it does look streaky, because like I said, I named ways in which that could be fixed. And I do like the fact that they do have a really nice bright blue shimmer to go if you want to make a blue and green monochromatic look, whereas Natasha doesn't have that either. So I think I want to go with the Ace Beaute now that I truly think about it. But again, comment down below and tell me which eye you like best. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.